I started playing this game on day 1 of its release. I completed every side quest, any main quests, any kind of mission that the game threw at me. There are still areas to finish up and characters to power up. You know, you're never completely done in these type of games. But now I reached the point in the game where I completed more or less everything you can complete, and the game kind of started to slow down for me. And I think I'm finally getting to the point where I can kind of give you my opinion and thoughts about the game so far. What do I like about the game, what do I don't, and everything in between. So kind of starting in no particular order, I just want to give a quick shout out to the developers. They're absolutely fantastic in this game. Honestly, I feel like they're one of the better ones I've played in many games. They are really listening to the community, they are rewarding, and it's not just the rewards, you know, like any developer could give you great rewards, that doesn't mean it's a good developer, but they're listening, they're improving, they pushed out some of the events and some of the stuff planned for future earlier on just because the players said there wasn't that much to do anymore. So you have to give credit to developers. I think they're great, I think they're fantastic, and you should support them. Oh, and if you're enjoying this video, be sure to subscribe, like the video if you can. Thank you, and let's continue. Now, my general vibe about this game is I love it, I think it's great, you know, like we're gonna get a little bit more into details just here in a second, but I think that the game is actually at its core, like the whole vibe, you know, like you play the game and there's a vibe how you feel about the game, like despite whether it being good or bad, like there's always just, the game is maybe not great, but I like it, you know, there's a good vibe in it, or maybe the game is fantastic and you're like, oh yeah, and I also like it, you know, the vibe is great as well. And I think that this one is this case where it's a fantastic game and, you know, the vibe is absolutely fantastic with this game as well. I absolutely love this game, I think it's great. There are a few nitpicks we'll get later in the video on the second half of the video, but honestly it's a fantastic game. If you haven't tried it, you should absolutely try it. But let's get into some of the things that I like about this game, and the first one being that would be the combat. Honestly, I think that combat is absolutely fantastic. I think it's one of the best in many games, and I think definitely the best in any gacha game. Like, I love Genshin, you know, I like that game, but I'm gonna be first one to tell you that Genshin has nothing. And you might say it's not entirely fair to compare these two games, but it also is, because they are extremely similar in many ways and extremely different in many other ways. But I think that the combat is absolutely top notch. All the intros, outros, character changing, the skill animations, just absolutely looks gorgeous. You know, it's fun as well. The characters jump around, they dash around, you know, you can do many things you just simply couldn't never do in Genshin. I love the combat. Hands down, one of the best combats I played in many games. And that says something. It's a gacha game. Usually gacha games have like, type of combat. Usually it's alright, but I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think that the combat is just, yeah, it's top notch. Combat is definitely, I think combat will be the highest thing on this list that I like, but there are also other things that I do still like a lot. The next one on the list being the world. Just look at it. It's gorgeous. And the music, by the way, is also very beautiful in this game. And just look how gorgeous everything looks. Do I think it's better than Genshin? I mean, we're gonna make some comparisons between this and Genshin, like it's just impossible not to. But not too many, just a few. I think that they are super different. You know, this one feels a little bit more serious compared to Genshin, where Genshin almost feels like a storytelling adventure type of vibe, you know, the world. This one just feels like a little bit more serious than that, but still very gorgeous, very adventurous. I like both of them equally as much, but in different ways. But they're both amazing. I love this world. It just looks fantastic. Absolutely gorgeous. I also think that the second location they just released, which is this one right here, is absolutely gorgeous. It kind of reminds me a little bit, you know, of Genshin's, I think Dragonspan or whatever it's called, you know, it's snowy and stuff like that, but kind of aside from it being snowy, it doesn't really look that similar. I would say this looks better, if I'm being honest. I just love the way this looks. We even have places like this that are steamy, and just look, there's a little doggo, and on the other side there's a little kitty swimming. Look at him swim. Oh, you got this, buddy, you got this. Yeah, absolutely, what a legend. But yeah, anyways, those are like the small two little friends. Those are like the small little details just make me, you know, fall in love with this world. It's awesome. I love Wuthering Waves world. It's just great. Absolutely great. As far as the questing goes, I mean, some of it can be like hit or miss if I'm being completely honest. Some quests are like meh, and some are actually pretty decent. I think that animations in the quest are top notch, absolutely. Some of the big battles in these quest lines are awesome, but especially in the beginning it's really not that great. Thankfully you have a skip button, so I guess if you don't like it you can just skip around, which is another good thing. It does pick up, though the further you go the better it gets, but the beginning is kind of slow. I would still put the questing on a positive list and not the negative list. I still like it, although like I said, it can be hit or miss sometimes. Another thing we'll put in the positive list is the gacha, although technically you probably couldn't even place gacha, you know, in the positive because it is designed to rip you off, let's be honest, but it is a little bit better than Genshin. For a couple reasons. Firstly, if you pull the weapon, it's guaranteed, so there is no 50-50. Then what I really like is you have your standard banner and you have your standard weapon banner, so they use the same wishes. So for example, I don't want any of them anymore. I have the ones that I want, I don't want the rest, so I might as well just pull the weapons, right? In Genshin, you kind of don't have this option. You just have to wish on one banner and, well, if you want the weapon, you just kind of have to, you know, hope that you're gonna get the weapon, which I haven't yet, so there's that. I also seem to be more lucky here somehow. I don't know if it's the luck or not, but, you know, I'm getting pulls where I get, you know, I make a 10 pull and I get like a 5-star and like a 2 or even 3-4 stars. And that just doesn't happen in Genshin. If I get in Genshin 2 4-stars in one pull, 10 pull I mean, it's just wildly good luck. And here, it's like almost an average thing. I don't know. It just seems like there are better rates. Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm getting more lucky, I don't know, hard to say, but the gacha, like I said, is a little bit better, and also 80 wishes, not 90, so, you know, tiny bit better. Not usually, but still a little bit better. So, although, like I said, the gacha itself is probably, you know, not something you could put on a positive list, but it is a gacha game, so you have to completely take that out. You cannot put a gacha thing as a negative in a gacha game. So, if we look at a gacha system itself, then it's a negative, but if you look at in the context of a gacha game, then I would say it's a positive. I won't complain too much unless there's something else that comes out and then blows this out of the water, and then I'm gonna complain, but I will say it's a positive for now. Another thing I have to put on the positive list is the boss fights. I feel like the best boss fights in Genshin are at the very best equal to the average boss fight in WoW. The boss fights are very epic in this game. They're absolutely awesome. I absolutely love them. The bosses are great. They are very fun. Obviously right now I have a very strong character. I'm almost one-shotting, but it's a gacha game, you know, when you have one of the best DPSs in the game, that's gonna happen. But I love the boss fights. I think that they're awesome. You know, I also say that, you know, I almost one-shot them, but as much as I think the boss fights are awesome, there is kind of also the other side of the bossing. Even though I have arguably the best DPS in the game right now, with the best weapon for her in the game, you know, with almost maxed out echoes, I will still struggle to beat this thing, like really struggle to beat this thing. And I don't know why, this thing will almost one-shot me if it hits me. If it doesn't, I have a chance, but boy oh boy, you know, if it hits me, it's a bad day. And I don't know why it's like that, I have no idea. I don't know why some of the bosses are so extremely overpowered, I have no idea, but they are. Overall, like I said, the boss fights are still very great. As you can see, this is awesome, absolutely awesome. And my healer just got one-shotted. Yep, there we go. Thankfully, my main DPS can just take care of the rest. Yeah, I defeated this boss, but I literally needed the best DPS in the game to kind of make it, you know, possible. And if I was to go one level higher, I'm pretty sure there wasn't even a chance. So like I said, the bosses are like, they're awesome, their fights are awesome, but some of them for some reason are so overpowered. I don't know why, but there we go. That's just the way it is, I guess. I also like the fact that he kind of changed the events before this. You know, I remember the first event was like, run up the wall. That's it, that was the whole event. Just run up the wall and get your reward. And I was like, really? Like, this is the type of events that we're gonna get? Like, come on, like, surely we can do better than that. And thankfully, yeah, we can do better than that. The game is only a couple months old and the events already are much better. Like, really much better. For example, the current event is a boss fight. You get some things to choose, you get some characters to choose, and, you know, potentially you don't have them, then you can, you know, try them out. And you could technically say, oh, but it's, you know, it's just a boss fight, you know, it's not something extra, you know, ordinary. But, you know, compared to, you know, the first event where I literally just needed to run up the wall, you know, this is like day and night. Like, this is an actual event, and it's actually pretty fun. It's everybody will enjoy to fight some bosses. You know, if you don't have some characters, you have an opportunity to try them, which is always awesome. For example, I don't have this little lady right here, so it's pretty fun to try her. I have no idea what she does. Although I have most characters in the game, I don't have all of them. And events like these give you an opportunity to try some of them out. I also enjoy the thing about in this game how quickly you can do the dailies. Like, some of these dailies are like complete a simulation, and also I like the fact that you have options. I wish the Genshin would do the same thing. Although credit to where credit is due to Genshin, they introduced the long-term points, which now if you complete things that, you know, if you would get dailies and you don't because you already completed, if you complete them, you get points which you can kind of redeem by just doing anything at all next day, and you will get the dailies. So I guess Genshin improved, but I still would like to have something like this where you have options. For example, absorb an echo, so use a one supply, you know, do a quest, do a daily quest. There's options, and I like that. You know, it's very quick. Somehow, whenever I come into wuwa, it takes me like 1 to 2 minutes to do the dailies. Although admittedly, I would still prefer not to have any dailies at all. I just don't think dailies is a good thing, but it is what it is. If you have them, at least they, you know, might as well they be good. I also like the character designs in this game. You know, these are just but a few characters. I think the designs are absolutely fantastic. You know, the movement and everything is just great. It absolutely is. Like, you just can't say anything. This is absolutely fantastic. And the echoes, the fact that you can use them as like this, come on, this is so cool. I love the fact that you can use echoes. Like, echoes are not just your artifact, it also is a skill. And sometimes they're very useful. For example, this will give me shield. This can summon a bird that can attack or fly like we saw. She will summon a dragon, and that dragon can attack monsters, but also it can be useful in sort of lifting her up a little bit. Like, there's multiple uses to this one echo. Oh yeah, I love the fact that echoes are useful and not just, you know, plain artifacts that do nothing. Now, I do like the depths of elusive, but I'm not the biggest fan of Tower of Adversity. I think Tower of Adversity could be a little bit more interesting right now. It's just pretty much the same as Spiral Abyss, but like even with more characters that you need. I don't know, I think it could be a little bit more unique, but it's fine, but that's all that it is. But I do like the depths of elusive, because here you can actually choose some characters that you haven't tried yet. You know, you do get a lot of like buffs, options and things to do, and the way you progress is also very different. I like this one. I think this one's cool. Now, I've been praising this game a lot, and for good reason. It's a good game. Like I said before, if you haven't tried it, go ahead and do that. But I also have a few nitpicks, so let's talk of them. By the way, these are just nitpicks, so, you know, before you start commenting, oh, why you said that and that, these are nitpicks. Like, they don't break the game. I just wish they maybe were a little bit different. First things first, I wish that the game had more healers. For example, right now she's kind of the only like a real healer, right? I guess the other closest option would be Baiji, and she's kind of like the only other option. Like, there really isn't any other options in this game. I mean, there are a few healers. I wouldn't even call them, to be honest, a healer. One of them can kind of heal herself, and the other one can give you like a buff that, you know, isn't healing, but it will provide you with some defenses. And realistically, she is the only solid healer in this game. That's it. Like, it's either she or Baiju, and Baiju is like a very cheap version of her. And I know some people say, oh, Baiju is just like a budget version of her, but honestly, I wouldn't call that. I would say that Baiju is quite a bit worse. Like, she still will heal, but nowhere near as close as she, and she will also give you buffs, and her healing is great. So I think, you know, they doing a lot of main DPSs and sub DPSs in this game, you know, the pulse. And I think they should start introducing healers. I would say that the healing is a problem, because if you go to like Tower of Adversity, you need multiple. I think you probably need like 3 teams, and there's realistically only one good healer, one better than nothing healer, I guess, like okay-ish, and there's literally pretty much no other healer. There's really not enough healers in this game. Another kind of little negative I have to say about this game, and maybe it's something they cannot solve quick, and maybe this will get solved with time, but it's already been like 3 months since the game release, and that's why it's kind of a little bit worrying, is the fact that the game still feels a little bit laggy, a little bit stuttery, a little bit glitchy from time to time. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad. Like, it's very much playable. Like, once you start playing, you kind of even barely notice it, but the thing is, the minute I jump to any other game, or let's say to Genshin, because Genshin is also 60 FPS locked, it's like just so much smoother. Like, it's not even close, it's so much smoother. Other games, and especially like I said Genshin, because they are not only competitors but they are both locked at 60 FPS, it's not even close the amount of how much more smooth it is at the same 60 FPS. And smoothness is one thing, but those little stutters and lag is like, it's been 3 months. So on the first couple of days I was like, it doesn't fucking matter, they're gonna fix it. But now I'm like, are they? Like, it's been 3 months, is it gonna I don't know, maybe it's a long-term fix that they need to apply and they just cannot, you know, make it happen overnight, perhaps. But the one thing I will say that I don't know why they still haven't fixed it, and I believe that that should be a less issue to fix that, and I think that that should be fixed way sooner. I still, after 3 months, I still get the delay in some of the sound effects. Sometimes you use the skill and there is no sound, and sometimes you use a skill and there's like a sound maybe like a half a second later. I understand that the lagginess and stutteriness, again, I'm not a developer, maybe it's not something they can fix quickly, but surely the sound could be fixed much quicker. Even though I'm not a developer, but it just, in my mind, that should be a much easier and, you know, quicker thing to be solved. But I don't know, that's why I'm a little bit worried, because I love this game, I think it's great, and I hope they fix these little things, because it does, you know, take away from the experience a little bit. And I think some of the people will just be turned off by this. They're gonna be like, well, why do I play this game that, you know, kind of stutters, the sound, you know, sometimes disappears for like a second, when I can play another game that literally runs perfect, you know what I mean? Another thing that, you know, I kind of find a little bit annoying is that once you kind of complete every quest and stuff like that, is that right now I'm only level 38, I need 10,000 XP, and there's just not that many ways to make XP. I mean, yeah, there's dailies and they give 2000 XP a day, but it's like, it's 2000, so that means I need 5 dailies just to complete 1 level. And although that was a hell of a lot of XP in the beginning, it's not that much right now. I wish they would scale it a little bit more, so maybe in the beginning you don't get that much daily XP, and yet right now I would get more, so it would equal it out. Because now that I've completed every quest, there's just isn't that many ways to make XP. I mean, sure, you can, you know, you can explore things, you can do bosses, you can do tacit runs and stuff like that, but again, even the tacit run, right, one of these is 60 wave plates, you have 240, so that's 4 runs a day. 4 runs a day is like, what, 1800 XP, so, you know, it's not that much. Even if you put together like this, and the dailies is at best half a level right now, and I'm only 38, and my characters are locked. I could level up her. She's only level 60 because I simply cannot do that. I need to get to phase 5, and to get to phase 5 I need to level up, but there isn't that many ways to do that. And unless you kind of just run every single thing you can find, every chest and everything, which will require a hell of a lot of time, there's kind of a little bit of a lack of ways to gain XP once you kind of complete the main challenges and the main quest lines, and I mean side quests and everything, stuff like that. So yeah, I wish they would introduce more ways to make XP, or scale the dailies or something. I'm sure there's a way. And one last nitpick I have, I wish they would introduce 4 ecosystems. So for example, I wish like any of these 4 would be mandatory to receive this effect, and one would be whichever one you want, because sometimes, for example, you want spectral damage and you have it on some other echo, but you simply cannot, for the love of God, you're just getting absolutely unlucky runs, you're not able to get it on the set that you need. And in Genshin, there's a 4-piece set, and if that was the case, I could simply throw any other echo that has spectral damage and use another 4 to just simply have a set effect. Like 4 is enough, and then 1, you know, for whatever that you need, for your convenience, so to say. I think that would benefit the game, if I'm being honest. But yeah, these are like little nitpicks, nothing crazy, you know. You can still play game very much with these things, but yeah. So yeah, these are some of the things I like and dislike about the game. Again, the dislike part is like very small, so I just almost brush it away. At the end of the day, I love this game. I think it's awesome. I think it's absolutely worth anybody's time who love these type of games, and even people who don't will probably still like this game, because even if you don't like gacha, you're probably gonna love combat because the combat is amazing, and there's so many things that are awesome about this game. The world is awesome, the quest lines, some of them are at least awesome, characters designs are awesome, the combat is awesome, boss fights are amazing, music is awesome. I like this game, I love this game, but now it's your time in the comments to let me know what do you think about this game. Let me know in the comments all the positives and negatives you think about this game. Let me know in the comments, or maybe just your overall vibes and thoughts about the game. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time, and you can also check out any of my other videos. Bye bye.